Hello everybody. The freaking PS5 is in full force. Tons of games are coming out for it, but I hear a lot of people tell me, I just didn't get one. I'm just stuck with the PS4. I don't see any reason to even get the freaking PS5. It doesn't have any games for it. And they kind of have a point, man. I look down at my collection. I've got a couple hundred PS5 games, but I've got half 1,000 PS4 games because there's so many unique niche games on that freaking system. I cover them all the time on this channel, and people tell me they're gonna get them, but in the comments they're like, well, he said to get the game, but they're sold out everywhere. I go to conventions all the time. I try to help people find games, and they just can't find them. There are just so many great games on the PS4 that they just slip through the cracks. And by the time you want to get them, it's too late. Now, these are some of the most popular videos on my channel. I think I have a pretty freaking good track record of knowing which games are gonna be rare and hard to find later. So let's talk about some more of them. Hey guys, I'm RNG Gamer, and these are some PS4 games you need to buy while you still can. One of my favorite video game series of all time is Katamari. You play as this little ball that's rolled around by the king of the universe, or the prince of the universe, the prince of the universe, the prince of the universe. And as the prince rolls the ball around, it gains more gravity, which allows more things to stick to it, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, there's an independent developer that took that idea, but instead of making it a ball, well, buddy, it's a hole in the ground. And we're talking about Donut County. Now, apparently in this county, it's run by primarily wild animals and maybe a few humans, but mostly animals. And this flippin' raccoon, well, he's up to no good. He slacks off at his job. He spends all the time in the bathroom sitting on the toilet, playing on his tablet, and he discovers that he can control a hole in the ground and just let everything fall into it. Why deliver something to someone's house when you can just put a sinkhole under their house and just let them fall to the depths below? And that's exactly what he does. You play as a small hole and you move it around the level, letting small things fall into it, and the more things fall into it, the bigger it gets, till eventually the whole city falls into this giant sinkhole, and you kind of have to save the day by destroying more stuff, which is exactly the way I want things to go. Fight fire with fire, right? But this is a whimsical and charming game that's actually a lot of fun. It's pretty short, but it's the one and only time I've ever seen my wife laugh at a video game. Seeing a raccoon taking a dump on a toilet while destroying a city, that hit her right in the feels. And me too, the laughing feels, which is what I needed at that moment. A happy, fun game. Now, I'm not the biggest VR fan. I do like VR in small doses. It kind of gives me a little bit of a headache. It also makes my neck sore. So when I play a VR game, I have to prep for it. We gotta do some neck exercises, right? And a lot of times after I play one, it just doesn't feel like it was worth it. Pulling out all the crap and setting it up, and it's just this small weird experience where you're just walking around not doing much. But there have been some really spectacular ones. They were life-changing. Now, I'm not saying this was life-changing, but it was pretty good. And it's home sweet home. What's interesting about this game is that it takes place in Thailand, which is not a place I think I've ever visited in a video game before. And I love the culture, and it's so interesting being in a horror game that takes Thai lore. It just runs wild with it. You'll walk into a room that'll be decorated with red ropes and weird candles, and maybe that's an ominous feeling in Thai culture, but I wouldn't know that. So it's you're in a foreign environment. Maybe there are clues of something bad coming, foreshadowing, but as a Westerner from the United States and being from Alabama and having basically no culture whatsoever, it was all a big shock to me. It's a very atmospheric game that feels different from almost anything I've ever played, solely based on the environment you're in. And it's magnificent. It's a quick experience. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It does have some puzzles. It does have some tense moments. But every moment I played of it, I really enjoyed. Sadly, this game is set up for a sequel that I don't think ever really came out on the PlayStation VR. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't play it, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't pick it up. And I think this might have been a GameStop exclusive that not a lot of people bought. Then again, it might be $10. I don't know. I don't look up the prices. I don't want that to influence these videos. I just pick the games based on their merit. But if you like horror games and you like VR stuff, you have to give this one a shot. Chances are you probably already have. There's another collector in my town, and he buys a ton of freaking stuff. So much, in fact, that he often has a hard time paying his bills. And it's not uncommon for him to give me a call in the evening saying he needs some money because he can't pay his cell phone bill or something like that, and he spent $500 the week before. And I'll end up just buying games from him that just came out. Anyway, he got it in his head that he wanted to complete the entire Nintendo Switch collection, like buy every single game that ever came out for it, and he was buying every limited run game Switch release that came out, and of course he couldn't keep up. Well, anyway, worst came to worst, like it always does. He had to sell a bunch of them. He didn't have any that interested me, but I grabbed a few of them just to help him out, and one of them was a game called Kingdom New Lands. And I'm talking about that game, but I'm talking about it on the PS4 because they released it and its sequel on a compilation pack right here called Kingdom Majestic. When they announced this on the Switch, I had no interest in playing it whatsoever. I'd never heard anybody talk about it. It didn't look very good to me, so I passed on it. I never would have played it if I had not picked it up from him. And it's hard to see from this game what it is, but it's actually a side-scrolling tower defense game. You play as a king or a queen, and you traverse the map left and right. You build new towers, you build new defenses, you recruit new troops and stuff like that, and you expand your way out till you get to one end of the map where you progress to a new land. It is tense. It is a lot of fun. I do not like tower defense games usually. I think they're usually kind of like a waste of time because they take so long to get through each stage. I never felt like this at all with this game. It's literally like a 9 out of 10 kind of game. It's amazing. And I picked up this PS4 version for $10 and I mentioned it in a video, and a handful of people recently have rewatched that video and they're telling me they're having a hard time finding the game. That's crazy to me because this game was dirt cheap and easy to find, but it's getting harder to find. When people start sending me messages saying they're upset because I told them about a game that they wanted and then they couldn't get it, that's something that stands out to me. That doesn't mean they're all gone. They're still out there somewhere. It's up to you guys to find them before the resellers. That's why I make these videos, right? To help the collectors and the gamers, not the resellers. Resellers have no interest in this kind of game. There's a legendary shoot 'em up developer called Psikyo, and they put out a whole bunch of freaking games over the course of like 15 to 20 years. They're not really doing too much these days, but they decided to put almost every single one of their games on a series of compilations on the Nintendo Switch. And it's called the Psikyo Shooting Collection, volumes 1, 2, and 3, which I bought. And guess what? They play like absolute hot garbage. Tons of input delay, tons of performance issues, just not playable at all. So they put out a second version of the game, Psikyo Shooting Stars Alpha and Bravo. Now instead of being on 3 compilations, it's only on 2, 6 games each, instead of 4 over 3. Why did I say it like that? Why would you even say something like that? I was hoping they were gonna be updated, so I bought them. Guess what? They're not. They took the exact games I already bought and they sold them to me again. Just pay more money, just spend more money. They're terrible. But after all that, they re-released them a 3rd time. Actually, it's a 5th time, because there's the arcade, and then the console ports, then the first Switch port, then the second Switch port, and then this one. This is Psikyo Shooting Library, Volume 1 and 2. This is all 12 games. You got them right here. You can even see it on the back of the freaking box. They play not perfect, but as well as you could ever expect for a port, okay? They play great. I played about half of these on the Switch, and no matter how much I tried, I couldn't beat the games on like normal and above. And when I say beat, I mean get a 1 credit clear. You can just keep feeding it quarters, artificial quarters, and play forever. The very first time I popped these in, I was able to get the 1 credit clear like a year later. On my first try. What I spent hours trying to do on the Switch, I could not do it all because of the performance, but I did it my first try here. You can still get these. These were released in Play Asia, like I said, called the Psikyo Shooting Library Volume 1 and 2. They did Psikyo Shooting Alpha, Shooting Bravo and Alpha or whatever. I think Limited Run Games put these out. These are all over the place. These are must-haves. They're probably pretty cheap. You probably grab these for 30 bucks each. Let's talk about a game someone recommended to me, and I put off buying it, and I put it off so long I couldn't find it anywhere. And it's Superland. Now, I have not played this, but my good buddy, Retro Wolf, mentioned this to me as a game I had to play, and I immediately put it on my wish list and then didn't buy it for like a year. And when I had a little bit of extra money and I was like, I'm gonna knock a few games off my wish list, I started looking online. Every copy was like over $100. They were 25 12 months earlier. I decided one day I was gonna go ahead and buy it at like 100 bucks, and I checked on eBay and there were no copies for sale. I looked on Amazon, it was sold out. I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know if some other content creator talked about this game, but all of a sudden you couldn't find it. You know how I found it? I went to the Limited Run Games retail store in North Carolina. It's shown by the UPC here on the back, and they had it in their back room, just overstocked. I paid $35 for it. I was thrilled to find it. I feel a little weird bringing this one up because I'm like, you need to go get it while you still can. This one's already really hard to find, but there are still copies out there. I checked a little bit before I filmed this video just to see if there were any, and there are some up. There's not a ton. This is like a zany open world kind of puzzle game that I've had people tell me scratches like the Minecraft itch, which is crazy. I showed this to my daughter and she immediately was like, I want to play that. A lot of people aren't gonna be able to play this because they're not gonna be able to find it. If this looks good to you, now's the best time you're gonna get to buy it. My daughter has one of the worst designed beds I have ever seen, and she never wants to go to sleep. Usually you have to lie there with her for 1 or 2, sometimes even 4 hours until she dozes off. Then you have to complete the impossible task of getting out of the bed without waking her up. To slowly lift your legs, slide them out, then sort of slither out the door of the fence without bumping the frame. You can't touch anything because if you do, it'll make a noise and it'll wake her up. I can't keep living my life this way. Thankfully, Flexispot, today's sponsor, came to save the day. Let me introduce you to their Japanese joinery bed. See, wooden joinery is more stable because wood expands and contracts with humidity, and metal doesn't really do that. So if your bed is secured with screws, they will eventually work themselves out, which causes the bed frame to start moving around. It will also cause a lot of squeaking. And this bed frame is made out of rubber wood, which is flexible, hence the name, but it's also a hardwood, so it's very durable. There are tons of great accessories you can get for your bed, so now it's time to do the thing that causes me stress on a daily basis. Click the link in the description below to try this bed frame out for yourself. And use the code RNG20 to get $20 off your purchase of the Kana Japanese Joinery Bed and the U3 Hybrid Mattress. Transform your sleep with comfort, convenience, and unmatched value. People love to absolutely dog games they call walking simulators. It's just a game where there's not a ton of gameplay. You're just like walking through an environment, experiencing stuff. Even games that are like, you know, first-person puzzle games, people will call walking simulators. But there are games that are straight up just walking simulators. Very little gameplay, mainly just walking around. But some of them are absolutely incredible. Some of them are life-changing. And I'm gonna tell you about one right now. It's What Remains of Edith Finch. And disclaimer, it's been a little while since I played this, so my memory may not be that fresh on the exact story. It is all story after all. But as I recall, you play as a young woman who returns back to her childhood home, which is basically abandoned. I can't remember if her parents passed away or something and she inherited it, but there's nobody there. And the house is absolutely insane. It is just insane. Weird additions and add-ons, and the house is stacked up on top of itself. It looks like Blighttown from freaking Dark Souls, except done by like 12-year-old kids. And as she goes through the house, she kind of relives the memories of the people that came in her family before her. Aunts and uncles maybe, and her cousins, and her parents and her grandparents, all this sort of stuff. And they all had extremely interesting and cursed lives. See, this entire family has a big curse put upon it. And I guess the whole point of the game is, are you gonna fall subject to that curse? Are you gonna break the curse? Are you gonna experience it? What's gonna happen? But going through this game is nothing short of magical. It has some of the most memorable experiences in it I've seen in any game. And I've never met a single person who has played this game that did not love it. And I don't mean just like it, I mean love it. Problem is not a lot of people played it because it's a walking simulator. You don't really do much. You walk around, you open doors, and sometimes you have to find a key to kind of get into a new area, but the gameplay is really light in this. But that doesn't mean it's not worth your time. As a matter of fact, it's worth everybody's time. I would recommend this game to anybody. That's really hard to do, and this game pulls it off extremely well. And for that reason, it's considered to be one of the best walking simulators of all time. And I have a feeling, and I don't know this, but this game might be a little pricey. It's definitely getting harder to find. I recently did a video in this series where I talked about all the games that you needed to get on the Nintendo Wii. And in that, I featured a game called Puzzle Quest, which is a standard RPG, except the combat is a match 3 game. And surprise, surprise, the week that video came out, Limited Run Games announced a remaster of Puzzle Quest being released on the freaking PS4, the PS5, and the Switch, and maybe the Switch too. I don't know, whatever. And people were like rejoicing because they got to get it, right? So I thought, what is another game that's similar to this that Limited Run Games sure as hell is not gonna put out? And there is one, and it's Metropolis Lux Obscura. And I'm gonna tell you this. This was a PAL-only release, and it's PEGI 16. But in the United States, this would be rated M, okay, 100%. Have you guys ever seen the movie Sin City? It's all black and white. It has a freaking packed cast of characters, little splashes of color here and there, but it is very dark and raunchy and violent and extremely sexy, okay? I'm sure many of you my age have seen this movie. Well, this game is like Sin City. It's the same kind of story. You're in that same kind of environment, the same kind of art style. So the setting of this basically takes place in Sin City. Now, it's trademarked, but it's definitely that same vibe. It's definitely that same feel. It's definitely that same kind of story, and it is full of all kinds of intrigue and backstabbing and just everything you'd want in a game that's modeled after that classic movie. But the combat in this game is a match 3 game, and it is so much fun. It is not an RPG. It's just like combat encounter after combat encounter mixed with like comic book story or I guess graphic novel story stuff in between. But it is wonderful. I had so much fun with this. I had to play it after everybody went to bed or I would have gotten in trouble. It is a man of culture game, but it is actually really, really good. You're gonna have to import it from Europe. I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of US sellers that have a copy of it, but I feel like it's something people need to play, but it's just not around. I've never seen it anywhere else. So now's the time, grab it. And speaking of now's the time, did you do that already? Did you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it previously in the past? Did you like the video? Did you hype it? Did you leave me a comment? I can't answer them all now, but I do my best to answer most of them. Also, the names you see on the screen, well, those are my channel members and Patreon supporters. They get access to all my videos early. They get access to member exclusive videos, which I just filmed right before this. Something you'll never get to see unless you go down to the description below and sign up. You can do it for as little as 99 cents a month. And if you want to help old RNG out a little bit more, well, there are other options for that too. You can get your name in a video. You can even pick a game for me to play and dedicate the review to you. I love my channel members. I love my Patreon supporters. They are the backbone of this entire channel. Thank you so much for that, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.